Son: Dad, what if one day all the women disappeared? Dad: That, my son, would be one great pain in the ass. If women didn't get financial benefit from divorce, the divorce rate would drop 95% overnight. When I was growing up, the pound sign never meant the hashtag. Good thing it changed, though, since pound me too would have been sending the wrong message. They put back the tariffs and they took away our subsidy. What's better than seeing a woman wrestle? Seeing her box. Why do women's prisons give out tampons on release day? Because all sentences should end with a period. A handsome man in a nice sharp suit approaches a beautiful woman at a bar and asks if he can buy her a drink. Don't you have a girlfriend? She asked. Guys like you always got girlfriends. He looked downcast. No, sadly, we broke up over a month ago. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, she said. All right, then, I'll have a white wine, please. One glass of wine led to a second, and after a few drinks, a kiss, and a cuddle, they headed off back to her place, where they made long, mad, passionate love. While he was putting his clothes back on, she said, So, you're good looking, you're a nice guy, and you're amazing in bed. Can I ask you why on earth you split with your girlfriend? The handsome man says, My wife found out. I don't always order extra sauce at McDonald's, but when I do, the employee acts like it's coming out of his paycheck. People say that smoking will give you diseases. What they don't tell you is that it cures salmon. Fresh from her shower, a woman stood naked in front of her mirror complaining to her husband. My breasts are too small, she lamented. Instead of romantically telling her that this was not true, he uncharacteristically came up with a suggestion. If you want your breasts to grow, then take a piece of toilet paper and rub it between them for a few seconds 3 times every day. Skeptical but willing to try anything, she retrieved a few sheets of toilet paper from the bathroom and stood in front of the mirror, rubbing it between her breasts. How long will this take? She asked. They'll grow larger over a period of several years, her husband replied. She stopped, looked at him with hands on her hip, and said, Do you really think rubbing a piece of toilet paper between my breasts 3 times a day will make my breasts larger over the years? Without looking up from his book, he said, Worked for your ass, didn't it? I went to a new doctor the other day and found the doctor to be a young, drop-dead gorgeous woman. I was embarrassed, but she said, Don't worry, I'm a professional. I've seen it all before. Just tell me what's wrong and I'll help you in any way that I can. And I said, I think my penis tastes funny. After much effort in seducing him, a young nun was in bed with a young priest, and she says, Father, I never expected you'd have such a small organ. He replied, Why, sister, I never expected to be playing in such a large cathedral. I've been trying to write down a little song about daylight savings time, but I haven't been able to come up with much of anything other than, 'Cause tonight is the night when two become one. I don't always take out the recycling, but when I do, I look like a serious alcoholic. You notice that people are just so offended and sensitive all the time about everything? I mean, at the rate we're going, Shampoo is going to be canceled soon so that bald people don't get offended. I don't always keep up with celebrity news, but when I do, it's in line at the grocery store. When I was growing up, I didn't always have time to study, but when I did, I didn't. You know what's funny? Canadians and others think that their health care is free. No, that's not the joke. Health care is not free. It costs Canadians through the shoulders, the knees, and the toes. But Canadians be like, highest tax country in the world with half of your pay going to government? That's okay. Carbon tax out of the wazoo? No problem. Luxury tax, property tax, capital gains tax, inflation? It's all irie. But talk about a tariff tax, and Canadians be like, what you talking about, Willis? A farmer has 3 sons, And his oldest boy comes to him and pleads with him that he's graduating from high school and would really like to get a car. His father says, "Son, come with me." He takes him to the barn. He points to the farm tractor and says, "That tractor is needed here on the farm, and I promise that as soon as it's paid for, we'll get you a car." The boy was none too happy, but he did understand the situation and said, "Okay, Dad." A week later, the second son, at 10 years old, approaches him wanting a new bike. Well, he gets the same excuse. As soon as that tractor is paid for. A few days later, son number 3, his youngest, comes begging for a tricycle. Again, old Dad gives him a lecture about the tractor being paid for first. While leaving the barn, the young boy, more than a little disgusted with the whole thing, sees a rooster mating with one of the hens, and he promptly goes over and he kicks the rooster off the hen's back, mumbling to himself the whole time. His dad says, "Son, why on earth would you do something like that? He didn't do anything to you to deserve that." Little boy looks at his dad square in the eye and says, "Dad, nobody rides anything around here until that damn tractor's paid for. I got home from work today to find my kids have been on eBay all day. If they're still there tomorrow, I'll have to lower the price." A man and his wife were on a train passing through some farm country, and as the train slowed down, they saw a bull mounting one cow after another. And the wife turned to her husband and said, "Why aren't you men capable of doing things that way?" "My dear," he answered, "we most certainly can do that. If only you would let us change cows too. I don't always watch scary movies, but when I do, I'm up until 3 a.m. watching Disney princess movies to calm down. What is Karen called in Europe?" American. What's the difference between a hormone and a vitamin? You can't hear a vitamin. A man and his wife were driving down the road and talking. His wife says to her husband, "Honey, if I were to die, would you get remarried?" The husband thought for a moment and then said, "Well, yes, I think I would." The wife wasn't too happy about this, and she spent some time in quiet thought. Then, after a little while, she said, "Honey, if I were to die and you were to get remarried, would you give your new wife my jewelry?" "Well, honey, I guess I would." The wife wasn't too happy about this either. She spent a little more time in thought while they continued their drive, and then she said, "Honey, if I were to die and you were to get remarried, would you give your new wife my handbags?" The husband paused for a moment and then said, "Well, sure, I think I would." The wife was again a little dismayed with this and spent a little more time in thought. And then she said to her husband, "Honey, if I were to die and you were to get married again, would you give your new wife my golf clubs?" "No," he said, "she's left-handed." 3 dogs are in the waiting room at the vet's, talking about why they're all there. The first one, a Chihuahua, says, "I'm the world's greatest barker. I bark at everything, non-stop. You name it, I bark at it. My owner thinks if the vet cuts my balls off, I'll stop barking. So, here I am." The second one, a Labrador, says, "I'm the world's greatest digger, and I can dig holes in anything. My backyard looks like the surface of the moon. But I went too far and dug a hole in the living room. My owner thinks if the vet cuts my balls off, I'll stop digging. So, here I am." And the third one, a Great Dane, says, "I'm the world's greatest humper. I hump everything, the couch, the chairs, lampposts. But the other day my owner bent down to pick something up. I just couldn't resist. I jumped on and started humping her." "Oh," said the Chihuahua, "so she wants to have your balls cut off too?" "Hell no! I'm here to get my nails trimmed." A man calls home to his wife and says, "Honey, I've been asked to go fishing at a big lake up in Canada with my boss and several of his highfalutin friends. We'll be gone for a week, and this is a good opportunity for me to get that promotion I've been wanting so bad. Would you please pack me enough clothing for a week and set out my rod and tackle box? We're leaving from the office, and I'll just swing right by the house and pick up my things. Oh, and please pack my new blue silk pajamas, too." The wife thinks this sounds a little fishy, but being the good wife that she is, she does exactly what her husband asked. The following weekend he comes home a little tired, but otherwise looking pretty good. The wife welcomes him home and asks if he caught many fish. He says, "We sure did. Lots of walleye, some bluegill, and a few pike, too." "But, sweetie, why didn't you pack my new blue silk pajamas like I asked you to?" The wife replies, "I did. They were in your tackle box."